Nick, very good to see you. There are some changes coming to catch-up contributions. We're going to talk those through. The passage of the Secure Act changed a lot when it comes to saving for retirement, and we have just received some clarification from the IRS about catch-up contributions. So what if I want to make a catch-up contribution now in the year of 2024?
Yeah, so the Secure Act 2.0, it seems like sometimes just yesterday it was passed, but sometimes it feels like it's, been so long ago and everything should be ironed out by now. It was passed back in December of 2022, and here we are in January of 2024, and we're still learning, some new things with
Hmm.
this. And I actually had this question pop up a couple months ago from a client, hearing that there were some changes coming to these catch-up contributions. So here in 2024, everything stays the same. We're still in the normal catch-up contributions. It's not till a couple of years down the road that the IRS has just changed around that they're going to be adjusting these catch-up contributions, and specifically for high net worth or high income earners.
Right. So when it was first passed in the Secure Act 2.0, catch-up contributions were supposed to be made exclusively into a Roth account, right? So now they pushed it back to 2026. Can you just explain the details, please?
Correct. So initially, it was set up that any high income earners, so those people that are earning $145,000 a year, and they base that off of your FICA wages. So it's got to be for that employer. So it might be something that you have multiple jobs and earning over $145,000. You might not be subject to this. So for everybody, it's on an individual basis. You want to talk to your tax preparer, you want to talk to your financial advisor, look at all the different scenarios. But for those people who do earn over $145,000, at that point, starting in the year 2026, their catch-up contributions, so they can max out their 401k contributions to pre-tax. But if they want to make a catch-up contribution, that's going to have to be made to a Roth side of the 401k.
Interesting. So why do you think the government is making this change?
Oh, number one, the government just loves changes all the time. But really, what's happening there is, if we could see the writing on the wall, the government's racking up debt left and right. They want the income, and they want that income, as soon as possible. So we've seen changes when it comes to, beneficiary IRAs. We've seen changes with these Roth contributions. They want those tax dollars as soon as possible, and to be able to limit the number of IRA contributions and deferring that tax out. They still want you to have some qualified accounts, and give you that ability. But, the Uncle Sam also wants his tax dollars, as soon as he can get them.
Sooner rather than later, right? So what's your advice then for high income earners who are over 50?
Right. So you still want to make those 401k contributions. You still want to make those Roth IRA contributions, but it's going to be determined, based on what your income levels are. Are you in a lower tax bracket now and expect to be in a higher tax bracket later? At that point, you want to make Roth contributions. Are you in a higher tax bracket now and expect to be in a lower tax bracket later? You may want to make some pre-tax contributions, or you might not know, where you're at, and play both sides of the fence, that you make some IRA contributions and some Roth IRA contributions.
Hmm.
Both of them are important, but it comes down to an individual plan. Just because your brother or sister, neighbor or friends, decides to make Roth contributions doesn't necessarily mean that's, the best decision for you.
Hmm.
And just because you made Roth contributions last year doesn't necessarily mean you want to make Roth contributions in 2026. Look at it on a year by year basis.
Okay. So I think a lot of people will be watching this video and wondering if their company match can be in that Roth account.
Yeah, so this was a new provision that was put in also that allows these Roth matches, or a company match, I should say, to be added into your Roth IRA. So with that, you get tax-free growth, on this money. The extra money that the company's putting in, they can put it towards the Roth IRA. You do have to be careful, though, that that Roth contribution from the employer is going to get added to your income. So, the question, is it available to you? Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. This is done on the individual plan level. It's not,
Mm,
it is legal through the federal government, but each individual plan has the option to allow it or not. So if it's not
mhm,
available currently at this time, speak to your HR, speak to your employer, about you wanting this to be a part of the plan because they can add it. It may just take a couple of years, for that to happen.
mhm. So you've touched on this a second ago, but how do I determine if a Roth account is right for me?
Right. So there's a couple different considerations. Number one is looking at where your income's at. Your income, your spouse's income, all of that plays into it. What tax bracket are you in? Are you in a higher tax bracket now and expect to be in a lower tax bracket, or do we expect taxes to go up in the future? What's your time horizon on this? Is it something that, hey, I want to put this money in and take it out, relatively soon, or I want this money to grow as long as possible? All of these and more, play into the consideration. Should I be making a Roth contribution or a traditional IRA contribution?
Mm,
So, look at both sides of it. Kind of think outside of the box because we know the government's, constantly changing these rules, and we kind of have to adapt, to it. So, my best piece of advice is, sit down with your financial advisor, sit down with your tax preparer, and go over this type of planning.
right. It has to be a conversation for real personalized advice. There's no cookie cutter answer with this one. But Nick, if somebody wants to have that conversation with you, what's the best way to reach you?
Absolutely. They can reach out to us online, our website, iconberryretirement.com. You can either ask questions on there, or you can set up or schedule a meeting with us, or you can give us a call, 937-498-1128. You can set up a meeting that way as well. We can go over these different options.
Okay. Nick, thank you.
Thanks, Erin.